Hi, folks. It's been a long while. Um, may you. So, hi. How are you? I send thoughts and well wishes out there that you, your families, your friends, your children, your animals, your plants, the air, ether, earth, stone, buildings below you be favored and filled with the spirit of love and light. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of go all over the place today, as usual. Um, First, so a little bit is gonna be about. I'll just go with it and see what happens. Okay. Um, there's one thing I want to address. So some of the videos that I've been doing about gods and goddesses, specifically the goddess, where I spoke about Eve. Um, okay. So there was someone who commented, and actually, I think then the comment disappeared. And it was information on like higher uh higher educational type of understanding of the Bible and Eve and Adam. And so, with that, I just wanted to share some more information. So, some of the things that I learned, I feel like there's a dualistic truth sharing happening right now because there are things that I'm definitely discovering and also, or finding out maybe wasn't true. And then there's so much more, especially when it comes to galactic beings and what we're actually capable of spiritually. And then, like, the magic of the government and certain political perspectives. And then also the simple magics that we do, and then the laws of the universe. And so there's so much, right? There's so much. So one of the things I learned is that in the Hebrew Bible and the Hebrew Torah, or schooling, is that Adam was what both male and female were called. And so part of the reason why I am giving that perspective, because we have this book that's called the Bible. We have these books called the Kabbalah, the Kabbal, the Torah. We have the Quran. And in my investigation from the lead in from um, Mame Wata's book, the book about Mame Wata and the Sibylias or the prophetesses, um, is that as religion has been taught, the female voice is completely left out. And we are given Eve's voice. And Eve's voice has perpetuated a ideal of how women are to be treated or to be seen or not seen or dress or not dress or whatever. And then through a system of what I basically consider fear of knowledge, um, horrible atrocities happen to women. And the story, this story that I've been downloaded from the planet is basically how I see it. It's what it feels like. Um, in regards to Anput and Lilith, or the first two creator beings to come to the planet, how that all happened. So it was like a retelling to me of what happened with Marduk, if you all are familiar with the story, which is where supposedly we get the idea of the Bible. And in one of my videos, I also talk about where the name Bible also came from was a city, which meant basically where paper comes from. And the Egyptians would go to this place, supposedly, and get paper and write. And okay, so the Sibyls, the prophetesses, and Eve and Marduk. So when the sisters escaped, the story is that basically this so some of the myth is not myth. Some of the myth is truth. The timeline, I don't know exactly, but this is what I heard. This is what I heard. This was the story I was told. The story I was told is that Lilith and Anput needed to escape because in the Return of Marduk, he had seen the future basically of how everything was going to basically go back into the God creation, the great creator, the great mother is what the aspect was then, and then has been slightly changed. Okay. And that his wife was basically he would have been like a test tube baby, even though she was created in a womb, but the mother wasn't actually alive, right? And that's how technological these beings are around us, below us, okay, and us, right? And so this was his way of creating a kind of a built-in narcissistic system of a father who encouraged his daughter to do his bidding because he knows that the power actually lies within the female. The female is who gives birth. The female is who gives birth. If there are no females, there's no children. So then there's no, either way, however you look at it, then there's no communities or there's no armies. Like, you need to have the women, right? And this was something that was a basic knowledge because mothers are the teachers. They're the ones that give birth. And this isn't to like dismiss the masculine, because within the feminine is masculine. You hear it, female. There, it's within her also. And so with this story, which I was talking about as far as like a prediction, and what Eve was trying to say is like, stop abuse. She had seen how her name, regardless of whether it's our, you know, okay, what was it? Eve would be our seed, and then the pomegranate would be the tree, and that would also be our brain, and that would be our spinal cord and our nervous system, and it also, you know, spirals out into the universe, right? I agree. You're right. I agree with you. It is absolutely a multifaceted teaching. Okay, right? And in that teaching, what happened was a certain way of thinking about and looking at and treating the woman on this planet. And this is the part where energetically, you know, if it's the planet, if it's Eve, if it's my brain, if it's the energies going on right now, that system is not helping our planet. That system is not helping ourselves. It's creating a disillusion. It helps to invade our emotions, because the mother is the emotion and the nurturer and the listener and the teacher. And so if we've been encouraged for millennial to only look as the masculine divine is always right and always the one to go to, so to speak, when we're looking for understanding, I I think it's fair enough to say that it's okay to also go to women, our elders, you know, and that to me, from that beginning, is the manifest of all this other weird crazy stuff like happening, because um women's rights and being seen, and then actually people's rights and being seen, and their voices being heard, you know. Do I know for sure that my voice is being heard or counted if I participate in a say as to who I might want to represent my country or me as a person. You know what I mean? Like the wearing of the mask. Like, yes, it's for our protection, and also it is covering our mouths. You know what I'm saying? And and then with the school system and the way that it is, and how that's almost a recreation of bringing the care provider back into the household, and always there with the children. Like in my mind, I hear like barefoot and pregnant, right? And I think my theory is that because of the miseducation or misteachings of many um, important knowings, such as our history or medicines, um, self healing, um, sex, the healing of sex, the healing of touch in a healthy way. Um, I think that came from the feminine. And I think that by curtailing us from that knowledge, and not just curtailing us, but actually like demonizing the woman, um, I think it's caused havoc. And so, with that, there was a couple things. Another person commented, and if you're watching me and you didn't notice the comment, you might want to check out her channel. Her name is Deborah Speaks, and it was kind of mind blowing because she takes words, she goes really deep into the words, how words are, and she also uses the Bible as a tool of helping to decode. And one of the videos I watched was about Melchizedek, and it blew my mind. like, like yes, there are so many codes and words, and then there's numbers that relate to that, and she talks about all that. And she'd asked me to mention the Sibyls as much as possible. Well, without taking a bunch of knowledge from, I want to make sure I'm relating this. Yeah, because it kind of relates to this time as well. And so, to the person who gave me the help and not just me, but others to help clarify the code of Adam and Eve within the Bible, as far as it our bodies relates to our bodies. I agree with that. And I also think that it's very important for us to get to know our bodies, and that we actually don't know a lot about our bodies and the amount of compensation our bodies do, and how that also ends up coming into our emotional and mental world, right? Okay, so where the Sibyls are concerned, or the prophetesses are concerned, um, there were many, many, and many of them we've heard of. So even if you can literally Google Sibyl and find a lot of information online. There's a lot of information also on YouTube, but almost every goddess um, was a Sibyl. So, for example, Muse is a Sibyl. Hecate was a Sibyl, and this is without like going off of what I read in the book. That was rad. And let's see. Um, from what I've gathered since I read that book, every word we utter is basically the name of a Sibyl or came from a Sibyl. Um, Most countries and states and names of towns and places were named after the Sibyls. So if you're just watching this for the first time, if you don't know what the Sibyls are, feel free to Google it. But I'll also tell you a little bit. So, from what I'm understanding, a lot of the miracle workers in the stories we've been told, besides like Isis, who, repaired Osiris twice after 14 years the first time, and he was like in a tree, and she brought him back to life. And then what's his name came again and scattered his body all over the world minus his penis, and she put him back together again and gave him a golden phallus so she could create Horus, right? I think that's right. Okay, so those are some Sibyls, and they were basically women who knew about birth, the stars, language, plants, animals, elements, and they were able to teach how to control and or I would say in a healthy way manipulate to bring healing. And like all these stories that are linked to the Bible and to all the other religious stories, they all have to do with healing. Like ultimately, these beings, these masters of, whatever they had learned, because all of them were different, and then became proselytizer, people who, use their mouths to tell people what was going on, but they also showed people by actually like healing them with a touch and a prayer or with a song. And so it's to go all the way back to Eve, another Sibyl, right? It's recognizing, or not just recognizing, but it's like I see the pattern. I see the pattern of magic. I see the pattern of like when I say magic, like hidden magic, the days of the week, certain holidays, like Halloween. It was something that the people had first, and same with Christmas. But Thanksgiving, that's a created holiday, and and a lot of people are already aware that horrible atrocities happened on that day many years ago to the indigenous peoples that were already here. And one of their sacred animals is a turkey. And so, and we've turned it into something. We've turned it into something good. Yet, we're learning, I'm learning that the quote unquote recognized indigenous people are going through extreme poverty, police brutality, people disappearing, women specifically disappearing at very high rates. And this is something that is not publicized on the news. We're not to diminish what is happening to the Black community, but I bring it up because I think the Black community is the indigenous community predominantly. And that if we are separated and unaware of the possible truths of not coming from across the oceans, then there is a possibility of true community coming together and saving both communities, really, because they would be one and the same. So, and I think the indigenous grandmothers are also Sibyls. And I think each group has a Sibyl representative. I think in the beginning they were predominantly indigenous and dark. And I think over the years they became albinos. And I think over the years, the many years after like the Crusades, which were not to like promote Christianity, it was actually to eliminate many of the Sibyls, which relates to the serpent. I mean, there's so many symbols and messages in a lot of our education, because a snake and an egg also represent the female. But then we've interpreted snakes to be bad. Well, I blame that on part of the quotes of the Bible where Eve should be lower than um a snake on its belly, like we took that which was metaphorical, right? And turned it into something um human, right? And then what we see on the planet is like this perpetual punishment of women and people of color. So I um I want to remind us who we are. We are Sibyls, and we're beings that actually communicate with animals, trees, insects, galactic beings, the stars, and our ancestors left hints for us. There's petrified wood as hints to giant trees. There are pyramids and hieroglyphs and petroglyphs to show us that we're capable of creating almost instantaneously, and we're able to imprint instantaneously when we are completely free. We're able to fly. We're able to live forever. I have come to, this is my conclusion. There is so much information about this, especially when it comes. Oh, we have emerald tablets. Okay, we have the emerald tablets, which are indestructible. The emerald tablets of Thoth, right? They're indestructible. They are not from this planet. This isn't talked about. That's what we're capable of. And Thoth was a human. And he lived for 53,000 years. And he decided when he would leave his body and move on. And I believe that, so also some people know that there's like secret, not so secret, either abductions or underground workings that are going on, and they're doing all this stuff with the human DNA. Why? Like, we know, like, suddenly when people hear that, they're like, ooh, we shouldn't do that. Like, okay. So then why would they want to mess with our DNA? And I'm pretty convinced that we're able to live forever. And that it's in our DNA. And we can unlock it. It can't be unlocked outside of us. We can unlock it. We each individually can unlock it. And we as a global energy can unlock it. And that includes like recognizing that media and music, well, everything that we watch or ingest is affecting us. But some of these systems, like, for example, I did a little research. So we have a mayor, and then we have a senator, and we have governor, and then we have presidents, and then we have the Supreme Court justices, right? And Supreme Court justices help make all the laws, and they have the longest term, which is a lifetime, okay? And then we have the president, and I think it's the senator, have 4-year terms. And then the mayor, it depends on what city and state, but a mayor can have 1 to 6 years, but no more than 6 years, okay? And I think the mayor's the only one that, same thing, depends on state and town, that they can be voted out, like the next year, right? Whereas in our political system, we don't get to change our mind, right? Like say we elect an official. I'm not going to pick anyone particularly. We elect an official, and the majority of the people are like, no, that's not fair. We don't really like this. They get a revote. They have to revote. Like, that's fair, I think. Anyhow, so what I recognize is the way that the system is set up, Nothing is all brand new. You wouldn't have a new mayor along with a new senator, along with a new governor, along with a new president, along with a new Supreme Court representative. That will never happen. There will always be someone who's been there longer and able to kind of influence all the other aspects of that system. So where is our voice? Really, actually, where is our voice in that? So, to me, if we knew we could live for 53,000 years, not suspected, not theorized, but knew. Even if you knew you would live for 300 years in basically the body you're in right now, you know, and if your body isn't, you know, as spry, so to speak, as you would want it to be, well, then you'd have another 150 years of others helping you maybe at least feel better while you're still here for those 150 years. And maybe even reverse some of that, quote unquote, aging, right? Like, wouldn't that be, I think, if healing is, if complete healing or constant recognition of the need for healing and the resources to heal and the education for healing and the economics for healing, I think that's what it was. It was a golden age because everybody was healthy. They didn't get sick. And if they did get sick, they weren't sick for long. So, and we're capable of that. And we're capable of talking to the galactics. And we're capable of working with elements. And we are capable of really bringing changes to ourselves and others. All right. On that note, thanks for listening. Take care of yourselves and each other in the best way you can. And may you be favored. And everything that you aspire to bring in that benefits both yourself, those around you, and the greater good of the world, be also favored. Thank you. See you next time.